Let's go!
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Florin and this is a review of the Ozone Smoke electronic cigarette. Okay, so before we kick off our review, I just wanted to clarify some things. First of all, this is my first video review, so it's probably not going to be very good. And second, this kit was sent to me by Ozone Smoke for the purpose of this review. However, that will not influence my opinion of their product in any way. Okay, so I wanted to say a few things about Ozone Smoke as a brand, but there's really not much to tell. They're a pretty new company. I think they've only been around for a year or so. They have some reviews online, most of them positive, but you can sort of tell that they're just starting out. They have a pretty professional site set up. They make the usual claims like they're revolutionizing the industry and how their e-cigarettes are the perfect alternative to analogs, you know, that kind of stuff. But it's time to see if their products really live up to the claims. So like most other electronic cigarettes, the Ozone Smoke comes in a little cardboard box. Let's take a look inside. First we have the user manual with information on how to use the electronic cigarette, how to charge it, tips on how to prolong battery life, you know, stuff like that. Pretty informative read if you are just starting out as a vapor. Then we have 2 discount codes for 15% off the next purchase. And the batteries. Both automatic batteries, because Ozone Smoke doesn't offer the option of ordering manual batteries. Both pretty small, especially the little one. If you attach the cartomizer, you'll have an e-cigarette that's about the size of a king-size real cigarette. One thing I didn't particularly like about these batteries is that the LED cover right here is so thin that you can actually see the LED inside. Now that doesn't affect performance in any way. I just thought they could have put a bit more effort into the manufacturing process. Okay, so moving on. We have 5 different flavor cartomizers right here. Then we have the USB charger and the wall charger. Okay, so to use the USB charger, you just attach the battery and you plug this in into any USB port like a laptop, PC, whatever, and the battery will start charging. To use the wall charger, just plug the USB in here, this into an outlet, and the battery will start charging. Pretty simple stuff. That's about all the kit contains. This is the most basic kit from Ozone Smoke. Nothing impressive, just everything you need to start vaping. Okay, so let's talk a bit about Ozone Smoke batteries. I'm not going to say they're impressive or anything like that, because if you already know something about vaping, you know something this size isn't going to be amazing in terms of battery life. It's just impossible. Okay, that said, for devices this size, I was pretty satisfied with the battery life. I was never a heavy smoker, and I'm not a heavy vapor. Okay, so for me, this too got me through a day without having to recharge it. But if you smoked more than 10-15 cigarettes a day, these are just not going to cut it. Okay, you're gonna have to charge them at least once a day, or buy more of them, like 4 or 6, depending on how much you vape. You know, they're not the kind of devices I would recommend to a heavy smoker trying to kick the habit, because they're just going to be annoyed with having to recharge them every few hours, and it's just not going to be fun, and they're probably going to go back to cigarettes, which nobody really wants. But if you're a social smoker or someone who smokes about, like I said, 10-15 cigarettes a day, you might want to give them a try. I would say these would last you about the long one, 3 hours of constant vaping, which is not really bad. But if you want more, you're gonna have to get more batteries or recharge them. Okay, so in conclusion, these are not bad batteries. Okay, they're regulated at 3.7 volts. They have a responsive switch, but not responsive to the point where you just, shake them and they activate. They're okay. But you have to understand that what you see is what you get. These are very, very small batteries. I mean, the short one with the cartomizer looks about the size, is about the size of a 100 cigarette, which is very, very small for an electronic cigarette. There are smaller out there, just a few of them, but this is not bad. Okay, so nothing impressive, but for the size, satisfying battery life. Okay guys, so let's check out the vapor production on the Ozone Smoke. This is the long battery. I'm gonna give you a quick vape, first with a primer puff and then without one. So let's go. Now without the primer puff. Pretty much the same thing, but they say the primer puff heats up the atomizer, so it produces much vapor, at least in theory, but on this particular cigarette I don't notice much of a difference. Okay, so this was the long battery. Let's go with the shorter one with a primer puff. Without the primer puff. Okay, so as you can see, they produce some vapor, but it's again nothing impressive, just average. That's exactly what I wrote in my review of the Ozone Smoke. Then I was contacted by somebody at the company who told me that this average production is exactly what they were going for when they designed the e-cigarette. Their explanation is that lots of vapor doesn't really replicate the act of smoking, but rather that of using a hookah or devices like that. I can't say I agree, but that's what they told me, so that's what I'm telling you guys. So if you're going for average vapor, this is perfect. It's not bad. When I started out, I did it with a much inferior product, But for veteran vapors, this probably isn't going to be enough. But I guess it's okay. Okay, so veteran vapors and even people who've had previous experience with more powerful devices than this aren't going to be satisfied with the Ozone Smoke's vapor production. But people who just want to get started with electronic cigarettes and are looking for something that works, that produces some vapor, this is actually not bad. This might actually work to get them off cigarettes. One thing I don't particularly like about this e-cigarette is that when I vape, it kind of whistles a little. I don't know if you can hear this, but it makes a whistling sound. I'm not sure if that affects the performance. Maybe it does because it lets some air in there, but maybe they can work on that a little bit. So before we get into flavors, I want you to understand this is a very subjective topic. Just because I like something doesn't mean you will, or because I hate it doesn't mean you will. So please try to take what I say with a grain of salt and understand it's best to try them out for yourself. So in my written review of the Ozone Smoke, I gave flavors 2 stars out of 5. I just didn't like them. I felt they all had a weird bass taste. I mean, they all had the flavor written on the cartomizer, but there was a very common taste to all of them that I just didn't particularly like at all. But then I had the misfortune of trying out some really, really bad e-liquids. I mean, horrible, okay? And now these actually seem quite tasty to me. I mean, this is the peach, and I love it. Nothing has changed. I mean, this is the same cartomizer I tried 3 weeks ago when I got the kit. Just then I hated it, and now I find it quite pleasant. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you have to try out a few different e-liquids to really compare and make the difference between what's good and what's bad. Maybe you're coming into the world of vaping with some expectations that are not met, at first. But really, this is quite pleasant right now. So if I was to test to rate the Ozone Smoke flavors again, I would definitely give this at least 3 stars. The fruity flavors, are especially delicious. The tobacco is not quite to my taste, but it's not bad. I've had worse, as I said. Okay, so Ozone Smoke says it sells cartomizers that last about 20-25% more than what the competition offers. And yeah, having tested other companies recently, I'd have to say these are filled instead of half filled. But they don't last nearly as long as what they mention in the product manual or on their site. They say you have 400 puffs in here, and you don't have quite as many, really. But you'll probably get about 250, which is not bad. That's about as long as a cartomizer should last. So, in that field, they're okay. So I've actually grown to like Ozone Smoke's flavors, but there is something negative I'd like to point out. They only offer one kind of tobacco, which for ex-smokers isn't ideal because their tobacco isn't exactly the best I've tested either. So, they could make some changes in this area, maybe add a few more tobacco types. The fruity flavors are actually quite nice. Maybe they need a chocolate. Chocolate would be nice. So is the Ozone Smoke worth your money? Well, that depends. I mean, if you're a heavy smoker looking for something that will last you through the day, this isn't going to cut it. You need something bigger, okay? Something more powerful than this. But if you're a social smoker or somebody who just, goes through like 10 to 15 cigarettes a day, these might actually last you through the day, both of them, okay? And even if you have to charge them once when you get home, it's not the end of the world. They're okay. Okay, the flavors, as I said, they're growing on me. I find them quite pleasant, especially the fruity ones. Tobacco is so-so. Vapor production is average. Okay, you probably won't be disappointed, but during your journey in the vaping world, you're definitely going to stumble on products that produce lots more vapor than this. Okay, so overall, Ozone Smoke doesn't make the most impressive electronic cigarettes. But if you're looking for something that looks like a real cigarette, these might actually help you quit smoking. Okay, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee policy. So if you try them and you decide that you don't like them, you can just send them back. But, if you have the chance, give them a try. They might actually help. Okay, so I was getting ready to wrap up this review when I realized I haven't talked about a very important aspect, the throat hit. Even if any cigarette produces massive amounts of vapor, if it doesn't also deliver a nice throat hit, it's not going to be a very effective alternative to analogs. Now, as much as I'd like to say the ozone smoke delivers a very, very good throat hit, the truth is, for me, it hasn't. Now, it comes in 3 different nicotine strengths: the light, the medium, and the full flavor. Now, the light produces next to nothing, at least for me. It was like inhaling simple water vapor. The medium delivers a slight throat hit, but nowhere near the throat hit you get from smoking cigarettes. Now, with the full, you get something, but for heavy smokers, it's just not going to be enough. Yeah, it's there, but it's not enough. So if you're going to buy ozone smoke, at least go for the full flavor from day one, because the rest of them are just too weak. Right, so that's it for my review of the ozone smoke. For a more in-depth review, check out my site where you'll find other e-cigarette reviews as well as fresh news from the e-cigarette industry. For more video reviews, just subscribe to my channel. Bye.